So, I haven't made a video in a while, and I've been fucking around with the camera settings, so hopefully it won't be as shitty. I decided to share a little bit of feelings I had about the new Legion expansion, and thought I'd mix it up a bit by bringing my lovely assistant, Nico, the fat whore cat. That's right. So, Legion. A lot of hype going around, a lot more information now that BlizzCon came through, and it's got my virtual ticket. Wasn't there in person, unfortunately, but got to see all the sights there was to see, and a lot of cool things coming down the turnpike. I'm just going to go off ahead of lots of things about which impressed me the most, and what kind of got me going kind of excited. Now, there's all this hype going around that maybe this will be the last expansion ever, and don't think so. Don't think so. A lot of really cool changes are coming down the turnpike. Every single class in the game is getting a revamp. Every single class is going to be shaken up to its foundation. There's going to be fucking haters galore and people saying, destroying the game and destroying their class and all the rest of this shit, which is great. I love the fucking nerd rage when it comes around. It's just gets me, makes me the happiest fucking camper ever. So pretty excited about that. I'm too shy of having every single class having 100. And that even hurts to say. And it's been getting difficult trying to keep up with them all. But throwing some spice into the variety would be good. Wanting to mix it up, so it gives me a chance to go back in and re-experience these classes, re-experience the differences, and see how it all shapes out. Granted, these guys have been doing this shit for 11 years, so as much as people say that they're going to fucking ruin the game and make it terrible, I think there's going to be a lot of pleasant surprises. The most exciting for me feature that they dropped for Legions was level scaling zones. There's going to be 4 zones in this next expansion that scale to you. And they're going to scale, and you know, so you're going to be able to fight bad guys, let it be level 105 or 110, and you're still going to have about the same level of difficulty. So even if you're rolling with a buddy, say you hit max level and a buddy of yours wants you to help him out with questing, it's not going to be a complete fucking just boregasm. You're going to be able to go in and you're still going to receive somewhat of a challenge. Now, what really got me curious about this whole system is I know your items are going to, the things that are going to drop are going to scale to your level. I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. So, what I was thinking at first, like, oh man, I'll be able to bust out some old weapons. Like, you know, get my legendaries out and fucking go out and have a good time with them. But that's not going to be how it works. So, when you get drops, it's going to be dropped for your level. It's not going to be just magically scaled to you. You're not going to be scaled down to the area. This area is going to be, the monster is going to be scaled up to you. So, it's going to be a equal play. So even if you're playing with lower level friends, you can still have a good time and experience somewhat of a challenge. Now, with that being said, kind of makes the items you get kind of superficial, I guess, for the most part. You just get stuff and whatevs. The thing that's really going to make the difference, totally remember now, when you're leveling up, you know, since the level zones are going to scale to you, it doesn't really matter if you're 108, 106, 102, whatever. Oh, shut up. Yes, you're a slut, and you're falling. I get that. There, are you happy? Be gone! Things are going to scale. And, so, what's going to be important are the skills that you get, and most importantly, what level you are is really going to be superficial, except for the additional skills and whatever that level up system may bring. But the thing that's really going to set you apart is the power of your artifact. So, based on how much development that you've gotten with your artifact is really going to set you apart to show how strong you are. So, you know, rolling around being max level really isn't going to be that much greater than being the just starting in the zone guy, unless you have really invested into these weapons, which is cool, which is really great. I'm really hoping that you can't max out these artifacts right the fuck away, because that will be terrible. Because if you get to max level, and that's a fucking heinous problem that we have now. You get to max level, and all you're doing at that point, from that point on, is just trying gear grind your stuff up so you can become some sort of beast and do some raid content, do PvP content, maybe do whatever stupid objectives are popping up, like, battlegrounds or weekend or the time walking dungeons, Draenor dungeons, whatever events popping up. And that's really all you have going on. It's not like, it's, some people love that fucking superficial tiny shit. I'm not super into that. That's probably why I have so many goddamn alts, because I get to max level, I get a decent gear level, nothing fucking crazy or anything. I think the average eye level of my guys is like 680, 690, some shit like that. Nothing to scream about. Nothing great. Nothing fantastic at all. Most of them don't even have much a whole lot better than LFR fucking gear or random stupid shit that I picked up from events when I happened to be playing on that character when I was playing that character. So, whatever, but the idea that you can go in, do all that shit, cool stuff. So, yeah, the scaling levels, big plus for me. The character revamp, love it. Love it, love it, love it. The idea that they're finally really jacking up the hunter and really mixing up the rogue are really cool to me, because those have been, the specs have been kind of just like personal preference instead of really changing up the play style. Like, if you look at a class that's been really mixed up, like something like the Warlock, Affliction plays completely different from fucking from Demonology, and Demonology plays slightly different from Destruction. So you're either building up fell energy to transform it to a demon, which is also going away, bye demon form, or you just leveling up burning embers to throw chaos bolts. That shit will still be there. So like the things that have been really hardly adjusted in the recent past are not getting too much tweaks, but the stuff that's been kind of left alone for a little bit are really getting some extra love. Like, for example, with the rogue combat, no more combat, no combat. Now it's going to be called outlaw. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm really going to need to see it in action. I'm not really super excited about the way this thing sounds. They always keep going on about class fantasy, and it would make more sense if you just called it fucking pirate or some shit, because then that's something I can get behind. But I guess that doesn't fit with everybody's fantasy of playing whatever. So I guess outlaw, you can be whatever. But combat's going away. Now it's gonna be an outlaw. Be interesting to see how that shit goes. And beast mastery still gets ranged. Marksmanship still gets ranged. Marksmanship loses their pet, and then fucking survival is gonna be a melee class. Now that's some good shit. With a pet. Melee class with pet. Good shit. Really excited to see the stuff. I really want to see the beta drop so I can start seeing how some of these things work. I'm not going to waste anybody's time and go into everything, but that's just some of the highlights of the character differences that I've been seeing, the shit I've been hearing about, and the shit I'm getting kind of hyped about. They also dropped about how this the new transmog system going down, where every single quest you have ever completed will be dropped for transmog and a UI, and there's going to be just fucking hundreds of items to go through, and you don't have to sit them in your void storage or whatever the fuck. If you have the item when the system unlocks, it'll be in your fucking transmog thing, and that's it. It'll be gone. No more. You don't have to hold on to it anymore. You can put it on your appearance anytime that you want. I just recently figured out how transmog worked, which is really sad because I've been playing off and on for fucking 11 years, but just recently figured it out. And it's cool, but for me it really takes away from the fact that as an old school player, if you had some shitty, stupid ass looking gear, you'd have to fucking really work hard to get that shit replaced. So if you saw somebody roll through with some fucking really cool set gear or some high level gear, and you saw me like, damn, that dude's a badass because he has that shit. But you don't get a lot of that nowadays because of the transmog system. You get something you don't like the way it looks, you don't have to work hard to get that shit replaced. You just fucking go transmog it, and you're a fucking happy camper because you can look however the fuck you want to look, and you're good to go. But with that small peccadillo aside, I guess it's really cool because me trying to figure out how the void storage works, I have filled up my void storage on a fucking couple of characters, and there's so much bullshit in there that I just don't know why I even bother. So I'll be happy to get rid of a lot of that shit, and that's cool. Pretty happy about that. And welcome back, Nico. Hi. Most talkative cat ever. But so we got the transmog. What else we got going on? Worth noting. Let me flip open my notebook real fast. See if there's taking notes. They unlocked more of the. I mean, they showed off some of the more of the artifacts, some of the things that different character classes are getting. I'm a little weird about it because it feels a little like, I don't know. Some of them doesn't feel like all the way thought out, lore wise. So like, hey, if you're an enhancement shaman, you can use fucking Doomhammer. Well, if you go back into the lore, the only reason that you can associate Doomhammer with being a fucking shaman weapon is because Thrall has been using the fucking weapon for the last 20, 30 years? We're gonna go with that. Sounds good. 30 years. He's been using that shit for 30 years. If anything, it was more like a symbol of his position because that was War Chief Doomhammer's hammer, and he gave on the title of War Chief to Thrall along with his armor and his hammer. So it doesn't really make it a fucking shaman weapon because Blackhand wasn't a shaman. He was just, I guess you would call him a warrior. But he wasn't a fucking shaman. So it was more like, hey, look, here's your position of power. This is your position of offense. Maybe if you want to put the spin on it that because it's been wielded by fucking Thrall for the last 30 years, he's imbued some sort of shamanish magic into it. But at the baseline of that shit, not a shaman weapon. It's a weapon that you see, and if you've never played the older stuff, you're like, oh, okay, that's Thrall's weapon. He's a shaman, must be a shaman weapon. But no. Or the first thing that they unveiled was Ashbringer. Alright. Before what's his name? I'm gonna butcher this name anyways, but Tyrion Fordragon. Alright, before his fucking ass came along and took it back from Mograine, it was the corrupted Ashbringer, and it was just as an effective weapon for fucking the unholy classes like the Death Knights as it was for a paladin. And once it was put back into the hand of paladin, it again became a holy weapon, and it again became a paladin weapon. So once again, you could just as easily say, hey, Ashbringer got re-corrupted and became a fucking Death Knight weapon. But because it's a fan favorite and that gets everybody happy or shit, they're going to say, hey, paladins can get that. They're not going to mix it up too much. And that's two of my most major gripes of what I've seen so far. I mean, everything else, they're just kind of like making up new lore for different weapons, which is cool, I guess. I mean, I really wish that they would take like some of the legendary shit and find a way to make them into artifacts, because I know a lot of people have these legendary weapons, but except for the realm of time-walking dungeons, those legendary weapons are useless at this level. So if you were to take something like Shadowmourne that you got way back in Wrath of the Lich King, and you made that into a Death Knight weapon, well, that's a very powerful, has a great story behind it, has a very long quest line, and it shouldn't take too much to gussy it up and boom, throw it back into the mix and say, hey, now it's an artifact, have a good old time. Like the Hand of Ragnaros, like that fucking bow and all the rest all the rest of the legendaries that you can play with. Like Fangs of the Father. Fangs of the Father would have been fucking awesome to play as any sort of fucking... Cat's freaking out again. Any fucking rogue spec would be great. It wouldn't take a whole lot to mix up, throw it back in there and call it a day, but they're not doing that shit. They're just going to make up shit. And, it makes sense, because all kinds of people have Fangs of the Father. All kinds of rogues have Fangs of the Father. All kinds of Death Knight Paladins and Warriors have Shadowmourne. And there's even a couple of ancient, old-school players who have the corrupted Ashbringers. The few and the proud who actually got that shit on Naxxramas when it was current content, fresh content in Vanilla WoW. Long fucking time ago. Coming up on the 11th anniversary of World of Warcraft, the 10th anniversary was awesome when they redid Molten Core, when they opened up a dungeon. I really, really hope, my hope, is that as they go along and they come along, like when it comes to the 10-year anniversary of Burning Crusade, so they do the same kind of thing where you could, like, if they were to reopen Karazhan, you know, not a 40-man, like the nightmare of trying to fucking queue up for Molten Core, which was great and horrible at the same time. If you were to reopen Karazhan, people would be able to experience that content for the first time, only need 10 people, and have a great time doing it because Karazhan was awesome. And, you know, as Wrath of the Lich King and so on and so forth, they would redo for the anniversary something like that. But fucking, please, if there's any Blizzard people, if I'm not the first one to come up with that idea, fucking spam the fuck out of it on the Blizzard forums. Let's get this information. Hey, I don't know. It excites me. I hope it excites some other people. So, time walking is a cool new feature. I have been enjoying that. It's a chance for you to dust off those old weapons that you've been hoarding on forever and go out and just be fucking epic with them. So please, once again, Blizzard, one request I do have is that when Legion drops, for all you people that play in Mist of Pandaria, might be with me on this, bring back the Cloak Quest. Every other legendary quest is still in the fucking game, with the exception of the couple of the first that were in vanilla that I'm not even going to bother mentioning. You can look that shit up if you want to, but for the most part, all the fucking legendaries are still there. You can still get Things of the Father, you can still get Ashbringer, you can't, not Ashbringer, Shadowmourne, you can still go back and get the Hand of Ragnaros, you can still get that Blessed Wind, whatever the fuck, that little dagger that's always being popped up on Trade Chat, sword. You can get all those legendary weapons. You can still do all the quests. You can do all that other shit. And I understood why you took out the quest line for Mist of Pandaria. Not for Mist, at the end of Mist of Pandaria, and when Legion dropped. But now that it's going to be irrelevant, bring it back. Because I just have this fantasy in my head of being able to roll into a dungeon, roll into a time walking dungeon, having just fucking decked out in legendary gear, and since it scales, just being able to see all my ancient procs and enjoy all that shit all over again. I just want to have, you know, be in there with my robe, have a cloak, have the fucking Things of the Father, have my ring, have that shit, and just be procking Nightmare, having a good old time with it. Will it be fair? No. Will it be fun? Yes. That's what I want. But don't see it happening, but please, 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 put that shit back in there. Especially when now when we be able to solo the content, please, let me get that. I was able to get it on one guy. One guy. Because of that one disappointment, with that only getting it on one guy, I got every single one of my dudes has their ring, with the exception of my 2 latest 100s, and the ring is boring, alright? There's no cool floaty thing that falls behind. There's not that cool of a proc. It's a raid-wide proc that can be selected by anybody, and it activates your ring, and that's, you know, fine or whatever. It's a great raid mechanic, but it doesn't make me feel awesome like that fucking cloak did. So, bring it back. Yeah? Hashtag bring it back. But I'm totally getting off topic. Legion. Zones, everything that they dropped, everything looks really, really cool. Pretty excited about it. Some of those things felt a little ham-wade in there, like the reappearance of the Valkyr. Who cares? Alright? Yeah, it's great that we're going to be able to see what they were like before they were corrupted by the Lich King. Fantastic. But it just feels like, yeah, Valkyr. And, you know, and here's Naga. Yay, Naga. And the zone with the Shadow Elves, or whatever the fuck they're called, the new elves, the new elf class. What the fuck is up with elves, man? Did they become just evolutionarily destabilized? They're like the fucking Eevee of World of Warcraft, man. It's like, you get them near to something, and they fucking all freak out. You got the Night Elves, you got the fucking, the Night Elves, you got the Centaur, you got the fucking Naga, you got the fucking Blood Elves, you got the Wretched, you got the fucking Shadow Elves, you got their fucking version of the Wretched, and then you have their one more version of the Wretched. It's fucking ridiculous. It's just, And these guys all started from trolls. Alright, just... Trolls don't fucking mix up that much. They don't get that fucking crazy. You got big upright trolls, you got hunchy trolls, and you got big old beefy trolls. That's the only trolls you got. But when elves get into the picture, they just fucking... Whatever they get close to, they start taking on the characteristics of. I know there's a bunch of lore and a bunch of other shit that it divides up these little categories, but it's getting ridiculous, alright? Just calm the fuck down, elves. Calm the fuck down. But yeah, good shit. Pretty excited. If there's any questions for you people that are going to watch this video, anything I can answer, I still plan on doing a legendary video so I can describe some of the things, that one video I released where I was working on one step of Shadowmoor. But I have a whole rant to go along with that. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything, ways I can improve, things I can do better, yes. And also as a note, I realize how fucking terrible my World of Warcraft videos are. I'm trying out a new program. I recorded a bunch of raids and a bunch of other shit, and it just looks so fucking terrible I can't even put it out there. So next time, hopefully I'll have some better quality shit, and I'll work on some time to do some editing things and shit involved, especially when I do the legendary quest. But that's all I got for now. Enjoy yourselves and have a great whatever the fuck you're having.